Laughter in the council chamber of the Galactic Empire was a mountain of glass and steel. Its ceiling arched so high it seemed to touch the stars themselves. Rows of alien delegates filled the tiers, their robes glowing with the colors of their worlds. Golden banners of the Empire hung heavy from the walls, symbols of power that had lasted for thousands of years. Not every voice in the chamber carried arrogance. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for so long that mocking others had become a tradition. Today, their laughter echoed louder than ever. At the center of the hall, a small human envoy stood alone. His black uniform was plain, his face unreadable. Behind him, a hologram displayed Earth's warship prototypes, blocky designs, old engines, strange weapons that did not shine with the elegance of alien technology. The alien delegates roared with laughter. "Look at this scrap heap," one shouted, his scaled hands slamming the table. "This is what Earth calls a warship? My planet builds cargo haulers with better armor." Another, with silver tendrils for hair, flicked her fingers and sneered. "Are humans so desperate for respect that they bring toys into the council?" The laughter grew. Each insult fell like a stone, bouncing across the chamber. The human envoy did not move. He kept his eyes forward, as if the storm of ridicule could not touch him. From the highest throne, the Grand Imperator of the Empire leaned back, his jeweled crown glittering. "Earth," he said, his voice slow and cruel, "is still new to the stars. Perhaps we should forgive their childish pride. After all, they do not understand true power." His words brought another wave of laughter, cruel and sharp. The human's jaw tightened, but he did not answer. "Tell me," the Imperator continued, his voice echoing, "do you believe this machine of yours can face even a single cruiser from my navy? We have fleets older than your planet's space age." The envoy finally looked up. His eyes were calm, like ice under pressure. He spoke softly, but the words carried through the chamber. "You call them toys, you call them weak. But you do not understand Earth." The chamber grew quiet for a moment, surprised at his tone. Then the laughter returned, louder than before. "Earth does not know its place," one delegate hissed. "They should crawl back to their little blue world," another agreed. The Imperator raised his hand. The noise died. "Very well, human. Show us your toy, if it can even fly." The envoy's lips curved into the smallest shadow of a smile. He reached into his case and placed a simple disc on the table. The hologram shifted, showing the prototype warship in greater detail. Its hull looked rough, its design strange compared to the sleek curves of alien ships. But deep inside its frame, lines of energy pulsed faintly, like a heart beginning to beat. The delegates leaned forward. Some frowned, sensing something they could not explain. Others laughed harder, mistaking it for a glitch. "Do you really expect us to fear this?" One alien barked. The envoy's voice dropped low, almost a whisper, but the silence carried it across every corner of the hall. "Fear is not what I ask for," he said. "Respect will come after you see it move." The words landed like cold iron. For the first time, the chamber did not explode into laughter. Instead, unease crept between the delegates, thin and sharp. One alien general spoke, his voice unsure. "What powers this prototype? It does not look like fusion. Not plasma, not quantum core." The envoy did not answer. He simply closed the case, shutting the hologram off. The Imperator leaned forward, his smile fading. "Human," he said. Slowly, "What have you built?" The envoy lifted his gaze. His eyes met the Imperator's without fear. "Something your empire was never meant to face." Silence spread like a shadow across the council chamber. For the first time, the laughter of the Empire faltered. Outside the walls, far beyond the shining towers of the capital, a single warship rested in orbit. Its engines were quiet, its hull scarred from tests never reported. It had been forgotten, even by Earth's allies. But now it was a wait dot, and soon the galaxy would hear its voice. Asterisk forgotten designs far from the shining towers of the Empire. On a quiet corner of Earth, a hangar stood buried in dust and silence. Its walls were cracked, its roof patched with old steel plates. Most believed it was abandoned, just another relic of a world still learning to walk among the stars. But inside, under dim lights, the past was alive. Rows of blueprints covered the walls, designs drawn by engineers long gone, men and women who once believed Earth needed more than words to survive in the galaxy. They had dreamed of ships that could stand against empires, ships born not from elegance, but from desperation. For years, no one cared. Governments turned their backs, funding went elsewhere, and the prototypes were locked away as failed experiments. Until now, Commander Ryland stepped into the hangar, his boots echoing on the concrete floor. He had fought in too many wars, seen Earth mocked too many times. He believed in the ship when no one else did. His hand brushed over the dust on its black hull. The warship stood in silence, massive and scarred, its surface covered in strange grooves that shimmered faintly when touched. It did not look like the polished silver cruisers of the Empire. It looked alive, like a beast waiting for a signal. Behind him, a young engineer named Kara adjusted her tool belt and frowned. "Sir, why this one? We have better ships in production. Faster, cleaner. This one, it's outdated." Ryland's eyes did not leave the ship. Because this one was built for a war no one wanted to admit was coming. Kara hesitated, then touched the hull herself. For a moment, a low hum vibrated under her palm. Her eyes widened. "It's still functioning?" "More than functioning," Ryland said. "It was never meant for display. It was meant to end wars before they began." She shivered. The idea sounded impossible. Yet something about the ship felt wrong, or maybe too right dot across the galaxy. Empire spies had once seen these blueprints and laughed. They reported back to their masters. Primitive design, heavy metal, overcompensating humans. Their words fueled the arrogance of the Council. What they never understood was this: humans didn't build for beauty. They built for survival. As Kara and Ryland worked, the hangar filled with life again. Power lines were reconnected, engines warmed, and the ship systems lit up one by one. Screens blinked green. A low vibration rolled through the floor like a heartbeat. The young engineer whispered, "It doesn't sound like any engine I know." Ryland nodded. "That's because it isn't. Earth tried something the galaxy never dared. A power source, they said, was too unstable, too dangerous. But desperate worlds take desperate risks." Her hands trembled. "If the Council discovers this—" "They already have," Ryland cut in. His voice was steady, cold. "That's why they laugh. They think it's useless. They think Earth is weak. Let them laugh." The hangar doors creaked, and a small group of soldiers entered. Each wore the simple uniform of Earth's defense force, but their eyes carried something stronger belief. They saluted Ryland without a word. "Is it ready?" one asked. "Almost," Ryland replied. He looked back at the ship. Its lights burned brighter now, casting shadows across the walls. Tonight, it breathes. Outside, the night sky was clear. Stars stretched endlessly above. No one in the city nearby knew what was hidden beneath their feet. Children played. Merchants traded, and old men told stories of how the galaxy mocked them. None realized Earth's answer was awakening in silence. Kara wiped sweat from her brow. "Sir, I still don't understand. Why keep it secret all these years? Why not use it earlier?" Ryland finally turned to her. His eyes carried weight she could not understand. Because Earth never wanted war. We wanted peace. But peace is a luxury the Empire will never give us. That's why this ship exists. Not to start war, but to finish it. The last system clicked online. A deep roar shook the hangar, rattling the tools, shaking the ground. The ship's engines flared with light, not white or blue like plasma, but something darker, almost a live energy that bent the air around it. The soldiers stared in awe. Kara stepped back, her heart racing. Raylan smiled for the first time in years. Let the galaxy laugh. Tomorrow they'll understand. Far above Earth, hidden satellites caught the power surge. Across the void, alien monitors beeped warnings. Somewhere deep in the Empire, an officer frowned at the strange signal. He marked it as irrelevant, never realizing what had just awakened. In the shadows of the hangar, the warship lifted slowly from the ground, dust swirling in waves. It was not just a machine. It was a promise. And soon it would be a warning. Asterisk. The challenge the Galactic Empire did not wait long. News of Earth's awakening prototype spread faster than light. Scouts whispered of strange energy surges from the human homeworld. To the Empire, it was a joke, another chance to humiliate. A young species before the galaxy. In the capital, the Council broadcast a challenge. Bring your so-called warship. Test it against the might of the Empire. One duel, one ship. If it survives a single battle, we will recognize Earth's place in the stars. If it fails, your world will kneel forever. The message echoed across thousands of systems. Aliens laughed, merchants placed bets. Entire colonies tuned in to watch humanity's final mistake. On Earth, Commander Ryland stood before his crew in the warship's command chamber. The air smelled of oil and ozone. The ship's walls hummed with power, alive in a way no one fully understood. Kara, the young engineer, looked pale. Sir, they want us to face their navy? Not one ship, an entire fleet. Ryland nodded calmly. They think numbers matter. They don't understand what this ship was built for. The soldiers around him tightened their fists. None of them smiled. Each knew this was no simple test. It was survival, not just for themselves, but for Earth's name across the galaxy. Ship's engines roared, shaking the chamber. The ground below trembled as it lifted into orbit, a shadow rising against the blue curve of the Earth. From space, the Empire's fleet arrived. Hundreds of ships glided into position, their hulls gleaming with gold and silver, their banners glowing like fire. At the center floated the Imperial flagship, larger than a mountain, bristling with weapons. The Empire broadcast one final message. Humanity, surrender your prototype. Do so, and we will spare your world. Refuse, and you will watch your planet burn. Ryland stared at the screen. He did not blink. His voice was steady, each word like steel. No, the channel cut. Silence filled the warship. Kara whispered, We can't fight them all. Ryland turned, his eyes sharp. We don't need to fight them all. We just need to show them what humanity really is. The warship systems came online in full. Lights dimmed, then glowed brighter. Energy pulsed through conduits, bending the air around them. The crew felt a vibration deep in their bones, as if the ship itself had a heartbeat. Enemy fleet moving into attack formation, a soldier reported. His voice shook. Outside, the Empire's ships spread across the void, their weapons charging. Thousands of eyes across the galaxy watched through live feeds, expecting to see Earth destroyed in minutes. Inside the warship, Raylan raised his hand. Engage cloak. The ship shimmered and vanished. Gasps spread across the crew. The viewports showed empty stars. Even Kara froze. It disappeared. It's still here, Ryland said. But now they can't see us. This is humanity's advantage. We hide. We adapt. We strike where it hurts. On the Imperial flagship, alarms blared. The human vessel lost from sensors. Officers cried. The Imperator narrowed his eyes, suddenly less amused. Then came the sound. A deep, thunderous hum that rolled across the void like a storm. The prototype reappeared behind the fleet, its cannons glowing with power. Ryland's voice was calm. Target the nearest cruiser. Minimum output. The gun fired. A single beam cut across the darkness. The Empire's cruiser didn't explode, it dissolved, its armor splitting apart like paper in fire. Silence fell in the control rooms of every watching species. On Earth, billions of humans watching the broadcast gasped in shock. On the Imperial flagship, officers scrambled in panic. What weapon is that? How is this possible? The Imperator's voice trembled with fury. All ships fire. A storm of lasers and missiles filled space, racing toward the human warship. Bright lights burned like suns. The prototype did not dodge. It simply absorbed the storm. The weapon struck, but shields rippled, bending each blast away like rain sliding off stone. Kara's eyes widened. It's impossible. Reland's hand tightened on the command rail. His voice was steady, almost cold. No, it's human. The crew stared at him, the truth sinking in. The Empire had thought Earth's prototypes were jokes. They had thought humans weak, desperate, unprepared. They had forgotten one thing: humans did not build toys. They built weapons to survive. The Imperator watched his navy tremble. How? He whispered. In the human warship, alarms shifted. Targeting locks spread across the fleet. The commander gave his final order. Now, let them see the difference between mockery and reality. The ship's core roared like a beast breaking free of chains. Light spilled across the void, brighter than suns. The challenge had begun. Asterisk first strike, the void of space burned bright as the Empire's navy unleashed its fury. Thousands of beams, torpedoes, and plasma bolts rained toward the human warship. To the galaxy watching, it looked like a storm that no single vessel could survive. But inside the prototype, there was only silence. The crew felt the ship hum, its strange energy vibrating through the walls like a heartbeat. Kara gripped the console, eyes wide. They'll tear us apart. Commander Ryland did not flinch. No, he said. His voice was steady, calm like a man who had already seen this moment play out. Now watch. The weapon struck, but instead of fire and ruin, the beams bent away. The missiles scattered, exploding harmlessly in the distance. The prototype seemed to drink in the fury, its hull glowing faintly as if feeding on the storm. Itself, gasps filled the crew chamber. Across the galaxy, entire worlds sat in stunned silence. Commentators who had laughed now struggled for words. On the Imperial flagship, panic rose. Shields ineffective. All weapons no effect. The Imperator slammed his hand against the armrest. Increase fire. Overload their defenses. But the more they fired, the brighter the human ship seemed to shine. Reland finally raised his hand. His voice was sharp. Return fire. One shot. Target the nearest battleship. The warship's cannon glowed, pulsing with raw energy. Kara whispered, This isn't like plasma. What is it? The gun fired. A single lance of energy cut through the void. The Empire's battleship, sleek, armored, armed with enough firepower to flatten a continent, was torn in half. Its core erupted in silence, fragments spinning away like broken glass. The galaxy gasped. Billions watching the broadcast leaned forward, hearts pounding. On Earth, children in crowded streets screamed with joy. Old veterans cried silently. For the first time, they saw proof. Humanity could stand against the stars. Inside the warship, the crew stared in awe. Kara's hands shook. It had just destroyed a battleship with one shot. Ryland's eyes stayed locked on the screens. That was the lowest setting. The word spread through the chamber like thunder. Soldiers who had once feared now felt a surge of fire in their chests. They gripped their consoles tighter, belief stronger than ever. On the Imperial flagship, alarms blared. Our line is collapsing. They're retreating. The Imperator's face twisted with rage. No retreat. Surround it. Destroy it. The fleet obeyed, circling like predators. Dozens of ships closed in on the lone human prototype, weapons primed. Raylan's lips curved into the faintest smile. Engage evasive sequence. The warship moved dot. It did not drift like other ships. It did not turn slowly in heavy arcs. It moved like a living predator, sharp, precise, unpredictable. One moment it was there, the next it blurred, streaking between enemy cruisers with impossible speed. Alien commanders screamed orders. Track it! Track it! But sensors flickered, failing to hold the target. The prototype struck again another. Beam, another ship erased. It weaved through the fleet, each shot a killing blow, each movement a reminder that this was no ordinary machine. Across the galaxy, silence spread. Spectators no longer laughed. They whispered. Some prayed. Others trembled, wondering if their own worlds could survive if Earth unleashed more of these monsters. Kara could barely breathe. Sir, this ship, it's not just advanced, it feels alive. Ryland's voice was low, steady. That's because it is. Every part of it was built not just with machines, but with the will of a desperate world. That's what they'll never understand. Humans don't build perfection. We build survival. The crew felt it too, the ship responding to them, moving as if it shared their intent. They were not just flying it. They were part of it. The Imperial fleet grew desperate. Ships fired wildly, their formation breaking apart. Fear spread faster than discipline. The Imperator rose from his throne, his voice shaking with rage. This is impossible. One ship cannot do this. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He had underestimated Earth. He had underestimated humans. Prototype turned, facing the flagship. Its cannon glowed brighter than before, humming like a star about to ignite. Ryland spoke softly, almost like a whisper to himself. Let the galaxy remember this moment. The cannon fired. The beam tore through the void, striking the flagship's forward shields. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's pride, the unbreakable flagship, shuddered. Flames erupted across its hull. Gasps filled the galaxy. The unthinkable had happened. The Empire's navy, once feared across 1,000 worlds, had been wounded by one human ship. Inside the prototype, Kara stared at Ryland. What now? His eyes were cold, his voice sharper than steel. Now, we finish the lesson. The warship surged forward, a predator among prey. The first strike was over. The true battle had just begun. Asterisk. The shattered armada, the Empire's fleet, stretched across the stars like a wall of fire. Hundreds of ships remained, their weapons blazing, their banners glowing in defiance. To anyone else, it would look like an unstoppable ocean of steel. But to the human prototype, it looked like prey. Inside the command chamber, Commander Ryland stood firm. The hum of the ship grew deeper, vibrating through the crew's bones. Every console glowed with strange lines of power, shifting like veins carrying energy through a living body. Enemy fleet closing in, a soldier shouted. Numbers? Ryland asked calmly. Over 200 ships, sir. The crew held their breath. Kara gripped the edge of her console, so tightly her knuckles turned white. 200 ships against one. No world in the galaxy had ever attempted such madness. Yet Ryland's voice was steady. Good, let them come. The Imperial commander barked orders through his combs. Surround the human vessel. Cut off its retreat. Dozens of cruisers surged forward, locking the prototype in a deadly cage of fire. Lasers, torpedoes, and plasma stormed the void, colliding against the human ship. But the prototype did not fall. Its shields pulsed with waves of dark light, bending enemy fire, scattering beams, eating missiles before they reached the hull. The galaxy's most powerful fleet unleashed everything, and the warship simply absorbed the storm. Then it struck back. Raylan lowered his hand. Target priority. Destroy their formation. The cannon roared. One cruiser vanished, torn apart. In a single blast, a ship spun, firing again. Another explosion. Again, and another. The human prototype moved like a dancer of death, weaving through chaos. Each shot a precision kill. The Empire's fleet cracked. Impossible, screamed an alien officer aboard a cruiser. It predicts our movements before we fire. It was true. The prototype didn't just fight. It anticipated. The ship seemed alive, reacting faster than any crew could command. It moved with its humans, as if it shared their thoughts. Kara felt it too. Her console pulsed under her fingertips. Every time she touched a control, the ship responded instantly, like it had been waiting. It's reading us, she whispered, like it's part of us. Rylan gave no answer. He already knew. The battle grew savage. Dozens of Empire ships exploded, their wreckage lighting the void like falling stars. Others rammed each other in panic, their formations broken by fear. In the council chambers across the galaxy, silence reigned. Leaders who once mocked Earth leaned forward in disbelief. Entire worlds that had once laughed at humanity now trembled, whispering the same words. One ship did this. On the Imperial flagship, rage burned. The Imperator's voice thundered. Cowards! Hold! The line crushed them. But his fleet was shattering. In the warship's chamber, a soldier's voice rose above the hum. Sir, their formation is breaking apart. Rylan's eyes narrowed. Good. Push through the gap. Show them what happens when arrogance meets survival. The prototype surged forward, its engines flaring like suns. It tore through the crumbling line, blasting ships on both sides. Armor split. Flames bloomed. The battlefield became a graveyard of shattered metal. The Empire's navy once feared across thousands of systems was collapsing. Kara's voice shook with awe. We're destroying their entire armada. Rylan's face was hard, unshaken, not destroying, teaching. The prototype fired again. Another battleship fell. Another cruiser turned to dust. Every shot was a message, every explosion a warning. Earth would not be mocked again. In the shadows of the battlefield, smaller alien ship scouts, mercenaries, neutral observers watched in silence. Some recorded, broadcasting the destruction across the stars. Others whispered among themselves, if one prototype can do this, what happens when Earth builds more? The truth was clear. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. On the Imperial flagship, alarms wailed. Officers screamed over each other. We're losing control. Our forces are retreating. The Imperator's face was pale, his pride cracking. No. We are the Empire. We cannot lose to humans. But the void told the truth. The Empire's fleet, its pride, its terror, its unbroken power was burning. Inside the human ship, Raylan raised his hand one last time. Target their flagship. The crew froze. Kara's breath caught. Destroying the flagship meant more than victory. It meant humiliation. It meant the end of the Empire's legend. The cannon glowed brighter, a sun forming at its core. Energy rippled across the hull, humming louder, faster, stronger. The ship itself seemed eager, hungry to strike. The Imperator stared at the approaching light. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. The beam fired dot. It slammed into the flagship's shields. For a heartbeat, the void burned. Then the shields shattered, glass against a hammer. The beam tore through steel, through fire, through the pride of the Empire. The flagship broke apart, its pieces scattering across the stars. The Imperator's scream was lost in silence. The galaxy gasped as one. The unthinkable had happened. The armada of the Empire, the terror of the stars, was shattered by a single human prototype. Rylan lowered his hand. His voice was calm. The lesson is over. The crew stared at the wreckage in silence. Kara whispered the words everyone across the galaxy was now saying. Humans have changed everything. The Empire's fear the battlefield was silent. Wreckage drifted in endless black, the corpses of once proud Imperial ships turning slowly. Among the stars, fires burned across shattered hulls, glowing faintly like dying candles. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's navy had been broken. Inside the human prototype, the crew sat in stunned silence. Some were smiling through tears. Others stared at their consoles, unable to believe what they had just done. Kara pressed her trembling hands against the glass, looking at the burning flagship. We destroyed them all, she whispered. Commander. Rylan did not smile. His voice was calm, but sharp as steel. No, we reminded them what humans are capable of. His words carried a weight heavier than victory. Across the galaxy, broadcasts spread the images of the battle. Billions watched in silence. On distant colonies and markets and palaces, no one laughed at Earth anymore. Entire species who had once mocked humans now whispered in fear. The council chamber of the Empire was in chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their faces pale, their voices trembling. They destroyed an entire fleet. One ship, just one ship. What kind of weapon is this? If they build more. The room, once filled with arrogance, now reeked of panic. The very walls seemed smaller, weaker, under the shadow of what humanity had shown. At the highest seat, the Imperator sat in silence. His crown was tilted, his face pale, his hands shaking. He had never imagined this. His navy, his pride, erased in a single day. Impossible. He whispered, no race, no world, has ever done this. A general stepped forward, voice low but sharp. Majesty, if they build more of these ships, the Empire itself could fall. The words pierced the chamber like a blade. The Imperator gripped the armrest. And we cannot allow it. Earth must be destroyed before they rise further. But even as he spoke, his eyes betrayed him. He did not believe in victory anymore. He believed only in fear. Across the galaxy, alliances shifted. Small worlds once loyal to the Empire sent secret messages to Earth. Traders who had avoided humans now begged for deals. Old enemies reconsidered. The galaxy was changing overnight. On Earth, the streets were filled with cheers. For the first time, humans felt proud, not just of survival, but of power. Children waved banners. Old men told stories, and women whispered of the day humanity stood tall against an empire. Yet in the hangar, far from the celebrations, Commander Rylan stood in silence before the prototype. Kara approached carefully. Sir, she asked, her voice soft, why don't you celebrate? We won. Rylan's eyes remained on the warship. Because this isn't the end. Today, we destroyed a fleet. Tomorrow, the Empire will return with armies, with vengeance. We didn't win peace. We only bought time. Kara swallowed hard. The truth cut deeper than victory. That night, in the Empire's palace, the Imperator sat alone in his chambers. His reflection in the polished metal walls looked old, weak. His mind replayed the battle again, And again the human ship, the burning flagship, the look of calm on the commander's face. For the first time, he asked himself a question he had never dared. What if the Empire's age is over? Across the stars, fear grew. Rulers whispered in shadows. Spies scrambled for answers. Some begged for alliances with Earth. Others plotted to strike before humans could rise further. In every corner of the galaxy, one truth spread. The humans have awakened. On the prototype, Raylan gathered his crew. The Empire will not stop, he said. It will come for Earth. It will come for all of us. But they have already made their mistake. Kara frowned. What mistake? Raylan looked at each of them, his voice heavy with certainty. They showed the galaxy their fear. And once fear begins, empires crumble. The crew sat in silence, the weight of his words pressing on their hearts. Far above, stars shone brighter than ever. The galaxy was watching, waiting. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows, and the Empire trembled. But fear is dangerous. Fear drives enemies to strike harder, faster, without reason. And the Empire's fear was only beginning. Asterisk. Legacy of the prototype, the stars were quiet now. Where once the Empire's navy had stretched across the void, only wreckage remained, broken ships, drifting steel, silent ghosts of a power that had once ruled unchallenged. But in that silence, something new had been born. Across the galaxy, messages flooded through hidden channels. Some were filled with fear. Others carried respect. Small worlds, once ignored by the Empire, whispered of Earth's victory as if it were a legend. Merchants spoke of the one ship that shattered an armada. Soldiers in distant outposts retold the battle like a myth. Humanity's name was no longer spoken with mockery. It was spoken with awe. On Earth, celebrations filled the streets. Crowds waved flags, songs filled the night sky, and children drew pictures of the warship on walls and paper. The planet had always dreamed of respect in the stars now. They had earned it. But in the warship's hangar, Commander Raylan stood alone, his eyes on the black hull of the prototype. The lights of victory did not touch his face. Kara approached. Quietly, her steps slow. You should be with them, she said softly. The whole world is celebrating. You gave them hope. Raylan's gaze never left the ship. Hope is good, he said. His voice was low, almost heavy. But hope alone doesn't win wars. Fear spreads fast, Kara, and the Empire is afraid now. Afraid enough to burn everything in their path. She shivered. So, this isn't the end? He finally turned, his eyes hard as steel. No, this is only the beginning. Far away, in the Empire's palace, the Imperator stood before his shattered council. His crown felt heavy, his words bitter. They think this victory means strength, he hissed. They think they can rise. But Earth has only shown us one ship. One. If they build more, the Empire's throne will fall. His generals bowed in silence. None dared argue. The fear was clear in their eyes. The Imperator raised his fist. Then we will strike before they can rise. Earth must be crushed, its prototypes erased, its people broken. But even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. In his heart, he knew fear had already taken root. Empires built on fear did not last. Back on Earth, a secret hangar door groaned open. Inside, shadows stretched across massive forms, hidden beneath thick covers. Kara's eyes widened as she followed Raylan inside. There are more? She whispered. Rylan's voice was steady. The prototype was only the first. The engineers of Earth never built one dream. They built many. They hid them, waiting for the day humanity would need them. Kara stepped closer, pulling the cover from one of the shapes. Beneath it, another warship rested, larger, sharper, its hull lined with glowing channels of energy. Dozens more loomed in the darkness, Sleeping giants waiting to awaken. She could hardly breathe. If the galaxy feared one, what will they do when they see these? Ryland's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. Then they will understand. Humanity was never asking for a seat at their table. We were building our own. The galaxy stirred. All eyes and enemies alike sent spies to Earth, desperate to learn its secrets. Some sought alliances, others planned sabotage. But all of them spoke the same truth. The age of the Empire was ending. The age of humanity was beginning. On the prototype's deck, the crew gathered one final time. Soldiers, engineers, and officers stood in silence, looking out at the wreckage of the battle. One soldier whispered, "We made history." Another answered, "No, we made fear." Ryland stepped forward, his voice carrying over them all. The galaxy mocked us. They saw weakness, but we showed them truth. Earth does not fight for glory. Earth fights to survive. And nothing in the stars is stronger than survival. The crew stood taller, their hearts heavy but burning with pride. Kara looked at the stars, her voice trembling but firm. "What now, Commander?" Ryland's eyes narrowed, fixed on the endless void. "Now we prepare, because the Empire will return. And when they do—" He paused, letting the silence grow heavy. "We will not just survive. We will lead." In the darkness of space, the prototype floated silently, its hull glowing faintly like the heart of a sleeping beast. Beyond it, other warships waited in shadow, their outlines sharp, their power hidden. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the war. For the future had already begun. And humanity had just lit the first fire. Asterisk.